Hello and welcome to this video. This video is especially for physiotherapists who dream of coming to Germany to live and work here. And today we want to explain to you step by step how the whole process can work. We will explain to you what it's like to work and live in Germany, what salaries are like in Germany, what German culture is like, and simply how life and work function here in Germany. Then we will explain to you step by step how you can manage to come to Germany as a physiotherapist. And we will tell you how you can come to Germany without making the common mistakes that are made again and again. At the same time, we will also tell you how we can help you avoid all these mistakes and make the process as smooth as possible. First, a bit about us. Who are we? Who am I? My name is Tobias Frese. I am the founder of Frese Recruiting GmbH. We are the largest company in Germany for placing foreign physiotherapists. We have already brought over 300 physiotherapists from all over the world to Germany. We work with the largest physiotherapy company here in Germany, and we are the agency that can bring you to Germany the fastest. We have streamlined processes and have thought everything through very clearly so that all common mistakes are prevented and everything runs smoothly. Let's start by giving you a general overview of life in Germany. I think many of you have never been to Germany before. That's why I want to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, why should you even come to Germany? Germany offers you a secure income. You will always get paid if you have an employment contract, and you have great career opportunities here in Germany. The salaries are really very good, especially for physiotherapists. If you are a good therapist, continue your education and put in the effort. You can really earn good money here. A very important point is here you truly have a good future for your family. Here, your family and your children can grow up safely and lead a good life. And physiotherapy in Germany is really extremely modern. The best equipment and latest findings in physiotherapy are brought together and practiced here in the clinics. So here you can really work in an extremely modern work environment and above all, learn a great deal for your future professional career. Germany, here we have prepared a map for you, consists of 16 federal states. This is important for you to know because each federal state has its own regulations for specific things, such as the recognition of qualifications. We'll talk about that in a moment. Here, for example, we have Berlin, which is the capital of Germany, and down here, the black dot. That's Cologne, and that's where we are. That's where our office is. And if any of you ever happen to be in Cologne, you are, of course, always warmly invited to come visit us. Why have we listed these cities for you here? These are the largest cities in Germany. Many of you often ask when you want our help, hey, I want to move to a big city. We always say that might not be the best idea to start with. You have to understand, in these big cities, especially here in the top 5, life is really extremely expensive. If you want to live in a big city, we always recommend don't go directly into the city, go a little outside, because rents there are often only half as expensive as right in the big city. And yet you can still be in the city within 20 or 30 minutes by train or by car. This way, you don't spend so much money unnecessarily on rent and living expenses. Just as a tip from my side. So what are the living costs like in Germany anyway? The biggest expense will probably always be rent. Here, we've listed 700 to 1200 euros. Depending on the region, of course, it can be cheaper, but it can also be significantly more expensive if you really want to live in the major capital cities. This is a good average that you can count on. So, if you come alone, 700 euros is realistic. If you come with your family and have 1 or 2 children, you should expect to pay around 1200 euros or even a bit more. The same applies to monthly groceries. Of course, you'll need a bit more money if you come with your family, but with around 300 to 500 euros, you'll definitely be well covered. Public transportation. There is now something called the Deutschland ticket, With it, you can use trains and buses all over Germany for 50 euros. I believe that's the current price. And for the rest, if you ever take a taxi, budget about 100 euros for that. Internet and phone cost around 50 euros. So just so you have a rough idea of what the cost of living is like here in Germany. Attention, there are two important basic requirements if you want to come to Germany as a physiotherapist. The first is your diploma. You need to have completed training or a degree as a physiotherapist. That is the first important point. The second important point is that you need a B1 language certificate. If you do not meet these requirements, you will not get a visa. If you meet these requirements, everything is fine. Then you can keep watching the video and learn more about the process, because then you are ready to take this step. Let's start now and take a look at this process step by step so you know how you should go through it. The first thing is always the German language. As already mentioned, you need at least a B1 language certificate in order to be able to get a visa. At your visa appointment, it must not be older than 1 year. If you then want to obtain your professional license in Germany, you will even need a B2 language certificate. So if you are at language school and already have the B1 certificate, keep going and study for the B2 certificate. This is really an important tip. You will need it in Germany anyway, so it's better to do it now if you have the opportunity. That will save you a lot of stress in Germany later. Your language certificate should be from a recognized institution. For example, this includes the Goethe Institute, TLC, ECL, or OSD. Please get your language certificates from one of these institutes so that it will definitely be recognized by the embassy. If you are not yet learning German and are not yet in a language school, we can, for example, recommend the Goethe Institute. They have language schools all over the world as well as very good online courses. And if you want an individual solution, well, the Goethe Institute can be quite expensive. There are also other smaller language schools that charge significantly less money. Feel free to talk to us about this and we'll help you find a suitable language school. Once you have your language certificate and can speak German, the next step is you need an employment contract. That is very important. You need an employment contract from a German employer. Of course, we'll help you get these job interviews every step of the way. We'll thoroughly prepare you for them, support you throughout the entire process, and make sure that you actually receive an employment contract. Our team will also ensure that your interviews go really well by providing guidance, feedback, and encouragement so you can feel confident and ready to succeed. Once you have received an employment contract, the next step is to have your training recognized. What is that and how does it work? So the German authorities say they want to carefully check and determine whether the training you completed in your home country, wherever that may be, is truly equivalent to the official German training required for your profession. This process helps ensure that your qualifications meet the necessary standards in Germany. And they do this by requesting all your documents. So you need to have your diplomas, diploma supplements, and so on, everything you have translated, have certified copies made, and then send them to the relevant authority. As I just mentioned, Germany has 16 federal states, and each of these states has its own authority. That's why you should make sure to send your documents to the correct authority or come to us. We help you with that. We know all the authorities, we understand how the entire process works and can advise you on it, and of course we can also take care of the whole thing for you. Once you have sent your documents there, it's actually quite simple. They compare how many hours you completed in your home country during your training in the respective subjects and fields. And what does the German training regulation require? From this, the so-called deficit notice is then created. This notice will state whether your training is equivalent to the German training or if you still need to complete an adaptation measure. This can either be the adaptation course or the knowledge examination. You will then do this later in Germany. It is important that you need this deficit notice in order to get a visa. Without a deficit notice, you cannot obtain a visa. You always have the option to choose. You can decide, do you want to do the adaptation course or do you want to take the knowledge examination? Now let's take a look. What exactly is all this and how does it work? The adaptation course is really a course where you go to school. So you have theoretical classes at school. Some of these courses are online, which is of course very convenient. And you do the practical hours with your employer in the workplace. The advantage is that there are no complex exams like in the knowledge test, and you really have enough time at school to prepare for it. Working in Germany will probably be different from how it is in your home country, and you then have time at school to learn exactly how everything works. Another huge advantage, of course, is that you can already gain practical experience. You will be accompanied by an experienced physiotherapist who will help you and show you how everything works in Germany. Plus, you even receive a salary for the entire duration of the adaptation course. I know that in some cases this is not the case. For everyone who works with us, it is definitely like that. We always organize it so that you receive a salary even during this period. It's a bit lower, a few €100, not a lot, but a little lower than what you would earn as a fully qualified physiotherapist, because of course you are not yet a fully qualified physiotherapist during this time. But in any case, you already receive a good salary that allows you to live comfortably. And of course, you can also continue to improve your German. You will work with other physiotherapists, you will study at school, and in this way, you will, of course, also be able to improve your German quickly. Now, let's take a look at the knowledge assessment exam. The knowledge assessment exam is a bit different. There are preparatory courses for it, but they are not mandatory. So you can take a preparatory course for the knowledge assessment exam. If you want to take the knowledge assessment exam, it is highly recommended. So I definitely recommend that if you are taking the knowledge assessment exam, you should take a preparatory course, because this exam is really no joke, right? I don't want to scare you. All candidates we've worked with, whom we've put through the knowledge assessment exam, have passed it. But it is, really a comprehensive exam, sometimes even spread over several days. You have theoretical exams covering various areas of physiotherapy, such as anatomy and so on. And you also have a practical part where you have to simulate a treatment, right? Exactly. And always for the respective specialized areas as well. So we would always recommend the adaptation course. Why? It's less risky, it's less stressful, and you have more time to study. The knowledge exam can make sense in certain individual cases. Talk to us about it. We will help you. We will support you in finding and choosing the right path for you. Once you have made your decision, you need to register at the school, and then you will receive a registration certificate. And at that point, you should also have all the documents you need to obtain a visa. There are 2 types of visas, or rather 3, that could be relevant for you. First, there is the 16D visa for a qualification measure. This is for when you need to do an adaptation course or a knowledge test. Then there is the 18A visa. This is for fully qualified professionals. So if the authorities say that your training is directly equivalent to the German one and you don't need to do an adaptation course or a knowledge test anymore, then you have to apply for the 18A visa. Then there is also a special visa here, which is the Accelerated Skilled Worker Procedure, Visa 81A. In this case, your employer pays some money so that the process goes faster. In some countries, this is really very important because visa appointments are only available in very limited numbers. Otherwise, it can really take a very, very long time until you get an appointment. If you're unsure about this, just ask us. As a rule, we almost always use the Accelerated Skilled Worker Procedure with the candidates or employers we work with. So, of course, we can also advise you on this. It's always important to us that everything works as quickly as possible because most of the time you want to come to Germany as soon as possible. And of course, German employers also want your support as soon as possible. Another important point is, how long does this whole process take? You're probably wondering about that. Roughly speaking, from the moment you sign the employment contract, it takes about 6 months until you can enter Germany, until you have your visa. The entire process, including the recognition of your qualification, the visa procedure, and so on, takes about 6 to 8 months. Before you can come to Germany, of course, you also need an apartment. This is a very, very important step in order to be able to come to Germany. After all, you have to live somewhere. But many of you might know that in Germany it is extremely difficult to find apartments, especially in the big cities or nearby. It can get very difficult because the demand for apartments is very high and there aren't that many affordable places to live. That's why we're here to help you. Don't worry. We will arrange the apartments for you and help you find a nice, suitable place to live. From abroad, it's almost impossible to get an apartment, so that's why we're here to support you. Congratulations. Now you are in Germany, but that's not all yet. There are still a few important things you need to take care of now. One of them is registering at the residence registration office. It's very important that you do this within the first 2 weeks after you arrive in Germany. This simply means you go to the town hall and say, "Hello, I'm here." You need a form from your landlord confirming that you have rented the apartment, and with that you will be registered in Germany. As soon as you've done that, you also need to open a bank account so that you can receive your salary. This is very, very important, and an important tip from us. You need the right insurance. In Germany, there are some types of insurance that are unimportant. You don't need them, but there are also some that are mandatory, such as health insurance. And there are insurances that are highly recommended, such as liability insurance. This is an insurance that helps you if you damage someone else's property. We've already had a case where, yes, there was an accident involving a car and it became really, really expensive because the person didn't have this insurance. So that's something we would definitely recommend. And there are a few others as well. Of course, we'll help you with that. So if you have any questions about it, we'll be happy to advise you and tell you which insurances you should get. So, now you're here, you've registered, you have the right insurance, you have a bank account, and then your course will begin. Either the adaptation course or you take the knowledge exam. The whole process usually takes about 6 to 10 months, and afterwards you will finally receive your German physiotherapy license and can officially work as a physiotherapist in Germany. Let's take a look at the cost for the entire process. First, there's your language certificate. That really depends a lot on which language school you attend and which country you live in. That really varies a lot. Please get advice from local language schools or check online to see what you can find at language schools in your area. You need to have your documents translated. How much does that cost? Basically, you can say it's somewhere around 600 euros. It's important that you have the documents translated by a sworn translator in Germany. Many people make the mistake of having their documents translated somewhere in their own country, but those are not recognized in Germany. This can really lead to major problems, and then you've just thrown your money away. That's why you're welcome to contact us. We'll also help you find the right translator for your documents. Then, of course, there's also the flight to Germany. That naturally depends on where you live. Here's a recommendation from me. Please don't fly during the Christmas season. In December, it's always a really bad time. Or in the summer when a lot of people are going on vacation. I wouldn't recommend booking your flight then because it's obviously more expensive at those times. But for around 500 euros, you can actually fly to Germany from almost anywhere. Now let's take a look at the typical mistakes that you make or could make, which we want to avoid. The most important point, incorrect or incomplete documents, as I just mentioned. For example, translations done by the wrong translators that are not recognized. On the one hand, this costs an extreme amount of time, and on the other hand, a lot of money as well. Important, deadlines are overlooked, such as with the language certificate. your language certificate must not be older than 1 year when you go to your visa appointment. The embassy can then say, no, you won't get a visa just because your language certificate is older than 1 year. So please pay attention to that. Then there's a really serious mistake that we keep seeing, which causes a lot of problems for candidates who want to come to Germany, working with untrustworthy agencies. If an agency wants money from you, it's not reputable. Most employers in Germany would also never work with an agency that isn't based in Germany. So if you have an agency in your home country, be really careful and make sure they show you which employers they actually work with. Because it's quite possible that they don't work with any German employers at all and just want to make money off of you. Of course, we do things differently, but we'll get to that in a moment. And another important point that you are responsible for, plan everything carefully, okay? Prepare yourselves well. Take a look at what is life like in Germany. What is work like in Germany? How does everything work? One important point in Germany, for example, is punctuality. I know that's not the case in other countries. In Germany, it's really extremely important that you are punctual, right? So it's important that you prepare yourselves for things like this and know about them. What can we possibly do to help you? What do we do? Well, we can connect you with the best physiotherapy companies all across Germany. We have well over 100 clients, 100 physiotherapy practices that we work with throughout Germany. So no matter where you would like to live, we have a top physiotherapy practice there that would be happy to work with you and would gladly offer you an employment contract. We help you with the recognition of your qualifications. We have good contacts with all the authorities and take care of the entire process for you and support you. The same goes for the visa application. We support you in obtaining a visa. We help you find an apartment and make sure you arrive well here in Germany, as well as with all the steps like registration and opening a bank account, etc. We help you throughout this entire process. We are always there for you from start to finish. You always have our contact, we are always by your side, and the best part is it doesn't cost you anything. It really doesn't cost you anything. The process is completely free for you. You don't have to pay us any money for it. The only things you have to pay for yourself are the translations, your flight to Germany, and your language course. And we take care of the rest, and we truly really don't want any money from you. The employer pays for this service, so you don't have to worry about it. What happens if you apply with us now? So the first step will be that if you meet the requirements for working with us, you can book a consultation with one of our experts. Afterwards, we will then prepare you for job interviews. We will organize the job interview for you with a suitable employer in the region where you would like to go. Once you have received an employment contract, we will also start the recognition process for your qualifications. This means we help you gather all the necessary documents and submit the application to the relevant authority on your behalf. We help you apply for your visa, find accommodation, plan your journey to Germany so that you can arrive in Germany as quickly as possible and start working. We support you throughout the entire adaptation course and of course also with applying for your professional license. As already mentioned, we are always available for you. You will have a dedicated contact person, our WhatsApp number, and no matter what question you have, we are always there for you and will help you. You can always write to us, call us, we are always there for you and help you with all the bureaucracy. Even if there are special circumstances in your case, don't worry. Over the past years, we've seen it all, solved every problem, and know exactly what to do. We are a German company, as already mentioned, and that's why we know all the laws and regulations in Germany and will guide you smoothly through this entire process. And once again, everything is completely free of charge for you. Our service costs you nothing. Here we have once again written down a few frequently asked questions that I would like to quickly go through with you. As already mentioned, the process takes about 6 to 8 months. You need a B1 language certificate to get a visa and a B2 language certificate to obtain your professional license in Germany. Our service doesn't cost you anything. The only things you have to pay for yourself are your language certificate, the translation of your documents, and your flight to Germany. Of course, you can also bring your family with you to Germany. If you have a family, that's not a problem. We help you organize the entire process so that you can enter Germany directly with your family if you want to. It is also possible for your family to join you later. But if you want, we can also help you so that your family can enter Germany with you right away. What happens after you have completed the adaptation course? Afterwards, we need to submit an application to the health authority, and then you will receive your professional license as a physiotherapist and be allowed to work as a physiotherapist in Germany, just like anyone else. Of course, you can also choose where you want to work in Germany. As I said, we have clinics all over Germany that we cooperate with. Of course, we can't promise that. If you contact us and want to go to a very specific city, that there will be a vacancy there at that exact time. But as a rule, we do a very, very good job of finding an employer for you where you would like to go, or at least nearby. So that was a brief overview of the entire process. If you're interested, if you want to learn more, if you want to work with us, then click on the link below this video now, apply with us, fill out our registration form, our application form. And if you meet the necessary requirements, please go ahead and book a call directly with one of our experienced experts. And we will thoroughly address your specific situation in detail and show you exactly how we can help you come to Germany as quickly as possible and work here as a qualified physiotherapist. I'm really glad if you enjoyed the video, and hopefully we will hear from each other very soon.